pickleball, it wasn't just the void of leaving firefighting. It was also a way to just kind of recover from that grief. And, it was, because life doesn't just give you one punch, it's a combination punch.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, the podcast where we celebrate aging with vibrance and we defy the stereotypes of what it means to age. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, a psychotherapist of more than 30 years, here to introduce you to my off-the-mainstream guests who will energize and inspire you. My hope is to create optimism about getting older and help you cultivate zest and joy in this season of your life. And I love to hear feedback from you, my listeners. Please drop me a line at zestfulaging@gmail.com. I read every single comment. And to find out more about this podcast, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. Well, who else has caught the pickleball bug? I'm a veteran tennis player, and it took me some time, but now I am also smitten. Our guest today stumbled upon pickleball and never looked back. She became curious about its meteoric rise, its history, and the appeal of the game. Why do millions of people love the game? So Claire Frank is a retired firefighter, and she went on a year-long quest to immerse herself in the game and the culture of the game in her new book, Just One More Game, What Pickleball Reveals About Aging, Joy, and Community. I am so excited to talk to you today. Claire, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nicole. This is going to be a blast.
It's going to be such a blast. So, your life, can we say, is it fair to say pickleball has transformed your life? Is that fair?
I think it's fair. Yeah. I think it
Okay.
it kind of filled a void after firefighting. So it transformed
Okay.
it transformed me in a way that, like, I had a void and then I figured it out, and pickleball helped me.
Pickleball helped you, but not only were you retired from this super intense career, but you also had suffered some real losses in your family, and I think were experiencing some grief and heartbreak.
100%. Yeah. My husband and I brought my mom to live with us for her hospice months. And that's, I had this career where I saw all kinds of stuff you're not supposed to see as a human being. But I would put that hospice time as probably the most difficult thing I've had to do, but also the most poignant. I
Mm.
wouldn't trade it for anything, but I wouldn't want to do it again. And as you suggested, pickleball, it wasn't just the void of leaving firefighting. It was also a way to just kind of recover from that grief. Um,
Mhm.
and it was, because life doesn't just give you one punch, it's a combination punch. And so my sister
Mm.
also passed very shortly thereafter, and she was living here with us too. So it's one thing
Mm.
to lose family, but when they're living in your house and part of your daily life, it just impacts you a little bit more. So yeah, I needed
Oh,
pickleball.
boy. You needed it. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, that combination of retiring from such an intense career and all that was going on in your nervous system, I'm sure, and then you're in Nevada, right? And you're retired, and now you're caring for family, and I love the way you write because it just weaves in the beauty and the joy and the camaraderie and some of the stuff is so funny. And then really the poignant parts about your life.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. So I'm a memoirist by, that's how I was. My writing training is as a memoirist. So that's how I think. That's how I write. How do I make it relatable to my experiences? But they're also unified experiences. Everyone has lost someone. Everyone in our age group has certainly lost somebody. Um,
Mhm.
and so making my own experiences universal and relatable is the whole point of getting, putting it out in the open and putting it in book form. And the ebb and flow, the joy and of life, it always comes back, right? You can always get joy back. That's what I think.
Mm, mhm. And you have a very, cooperative husband, I might say.
He's
Like,
super.
"I'll be home for lunch," and here she comes at 6:30 PM.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
knows. He knows. He understands pickleball time. What 1 hour means 3 hours.
And also traveling, you're like, "Well, I'll be going, to this resort or whatever." Yeah, he's a trooper, huh?
He's a trooper. He's a keeper. I got lucky.
Ah! What did he think about the book?
Well, he read every bit. He was my first run editor, and but so he liked the book. He liked the like what you talked about, where I can weave in some moments that have a little bit of gravitas, but then at the same time just exploring this joyful obsession with this cool new sport that we have a front row
Mm.
seat to its growth and
Mm.
its rise. So he was fascinated by that. But I married like the one person on earth who won't play games. He doesn't play cards. He won't play pickleball. Like he's just like
Oh,
no. I'm like,
okay.
it didn't make you love it. He's like no.
He has his own stuff.
He has his own stuff. Yeah, he likes skiing
Mhm.
and he likes individual, sports and movement. He grew up with martial arts where it's all about
Okay.
your individual reaction. There's no partner. There's no. It's self reliance.
Right. I see. I love the way you would trade kind of like skiing trips or hold them out as, like, "Okay, if I go skiing, then, oh, by the way, I'll be taking a trip 2 weeks later."
Yeah,
That
I
was fun.
bargained
The other
with skiing and
bargaining,
talking
yeah.
a lot.
Gotcha. Oh my gosh. That's great. The other thing that really is woven through the book is your relationship with your sister, and how for people who haven't well, it's not quite out yet, but, really, wanting to play with her as a partner. It was so important. It seemed like it felt very important for you to be able to kinda rise to the occasion, to partner with her at a tournament. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I should clarify that this isn't the sister that passed away. This was another sister of mine, and she
Right.
lived close by. She had moved. She retired, and she moved up to Nevada to be close to Bud and I. And then she was also here with the passing of our sister and my mom. So we did this like really heavy stuff together, and when this was all
Mm,
in the COVID window, and so
mhm.
she ended up saying like that wasn't a fun chapter for me, and I'm going to go back to the California coast, which is kind of her town. It was, if you find your place, my place is in the mountains and hers is more coastal. So she gave it a try, but then she moved away. So I kind of felt like that was another loss for me. But
Mhm.
we bonded before she left over pickleball. She's a former tennis player like you. So she had like all the angled shots and all the top spin and precision. And I'm a basketball player, so I was just like a banging. I'm a banger. It was
That's
what
why you're a
called.
slammer. Yeah. Trying
So
not to be a slammer.
I'm better now. I'm better now, but it doesn't go away all the way.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really important for both of us to try to stay connected, and pickleball was the like the tool that we could use to do that. So we decided to sign up for a tournament. And part of my goal, part of my quest in this year that I was paying attention to pickleball, was to level up so I would be a good partner for her because she was automatically better than me from her tennis background. And so it was just constantly on my mind. How do I get so that she can rely on me as a partner? And I'm sure there's a metaphor in that
Mhm.
with the loss that we went through together. But and I won't do a spoiler alert on the tournament. But yes, that was a big thread in the book.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm. And was that on your mind as you were taking lessons, you were going to clinics, you were starting to do more local tournaments, and then was that always in the back of your mind that I wanna be a good partner with my sister?
Oh yeah, it's part of what drove me to do those things, but to be fair, I'm also very type A. So even without
Mhm.
that, I'm pretty sure I would have,
Mhm.
I go all in.
Mhm, mhm. And what was your nickname? Everyone had a nickname.
People call me Claire Bear.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like it's a pretty good one. Some of them were, um, maybe not as friendly, I don't know.
Not as cutesy.
Not as cutesy, not as cutesy. I love the way you describe the characters that you were playing with, and the thing, what I really loved is when you went to one of the tournaments, your doubles competition, the way they were dressed, so beautifully, so expensively, coordinated. And I remember when we went to regionals and we went closer to New York City, and the competition was looking like they had just walked out of, the USTA modeling centerfold. And, we were wearing our kind of whatever they were, nothing
Um,
like that. And it's intimidating when
it's
everybody's sort of matching, the headbands or the jewelry's matching.
everything. It's super intimidating is the exact word I was going to use. So I had to
Mm.
develop like this instant hatred for them to try to to try to
And they were
balance
sour
it. I
as
was
as
scared of
my
them.
and they were kind of frowny too, right?
Oh,
They
they were
weren't
sour faced. They had game face
sour
on.
face. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. But I think you finally were victorious, yes?
What? Not against them. Nope. No,
Oh.
no. They
Oh.
yeah, but the reader finds this out early in the book how that tournament went. But yeah, we never we beat them in one game, but they put
Mm.
us in the losers bracket.
I see, I see. Hi, Zesties. Well, we all know that exercise is really important, especially as we age. Some say it's the most important thing you can do to stay healthy. But many of us find that it's really easy to start an exercise routine, but it's hard to keep it up. That's why we see so many exercise bikes and machines being used as clothes hangers come March. Am I the only one who has bought a gym membership that turned out to be a total waste of money? At this point in life, I want to do things that are good for me, but also fun. You'll never find me at a class called boot camp because life is hard enough. And that is why I love my rebounder. What is a rebounder? Well, it's a mini trampoline that has so many health benefits, it's kind of crazy. It turns out that gently jumping up and down provides excellent benefits to our whole body. It helps clear lymphatic drainage, which is basically toxic waste in our bodies. And get this, NASA uses it to help their astronauts reacclimate when they've been up in space. And I'm not even going to go into the improvements in complexion and mood. Let's just say it's hard to be in a bad mood when you're jumping to your favorite music. It's like your own dance party. But if you're interested in a rebounder, please take my advice. Don't buy a cheap one. They can actually be dangerous. I would recommend the one I have, which is a NEEDAK rebounder. It's NEEDAK, and mine's going on about 20 years old. I use it with light weights, and I've actually used it to train for the senior tennis games, as well as my Camino walk in Spain. And it's also great to use in upstate New York in the winter when the weather is awful, which is pretty often. So right now you can get a free rebounder cover at NEEDAK if you use the coupon code ZESTFUL. So again, NEEDAK, NEEDAK. And if you have any questions, check out my YouTube demo. It's my most watched YouTube to date. So happy jumping, and I would love to hear how you like it. So let's get to the sort of the original question. And I think people ponder this and we all have our theories, but you are now the expert on this question, which is why explain this meteoric rise. And I want to tell you, you already know this. There is not a lot of love in the tennis clubs right now because of, like, you know, they say I've gone to the dark side and stuff like that. Like, you get a little bit of attitude now if you're not playing tennis, if you had been a tennis player, and there's a lot of reasons. But what have you learned over your years and your experience about why this thing has exploded?
Yeah, so it's a bunch of answers. It's not a single like, oh, it's this.
Mm-hmm.
It's that it checks a lot of boxes, and you know, it gives you it's outdoors during the right time of year.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you nice vitamin D. It is very social. It's more social than tennis. With tennis, you come there
Mm-hmm.
with your group. You don't rack it in. You paddle in, and so you're playing with all these different people, all different, they come from all different backgrounds, so there's more diversity in
Mm-hmm.
pickleball, and it's fun. You're playing with I played with against yesterday. I played against a team that had a 28-year-old and a 72-year-old,
I love
right?
that.
And we all come with different backgrounds. It's so there's that. It's easier on joints than tennis, but it's if you pick up a pickleball paddle, it's just automatically the learning curve, the on ramp. You're there. You can get there if you played. I joke, if you played high school sports, it'll take you 2 hours to become an intermediate player.
Easy to learn,
It's
hard to
super easy to learn.
master.
It's hard to
Yes.
master. That's exactly right. And
Mm.
one of my favorite quotes is there's tennis haters, and then golfers kind of join the tennis group, and they're like, that's, pickleball is not a real sport.
Mhm.
And there's a writer named Rick Riley. He's super funny. And he said, any sport that you can take up by breakfast and be good at by lunch is not a sport at all.
Okay. Yeah, it's sneaky exercise
It's
too.
sneaky exercise. So there's this whole thing I do in the book where I explore this thing called play science. And pickleball feels like recess. It puts
Mm.
us all back in that moment where it's just fun and you're in the moment. And, this is recreational play. Tournaments get a little
Yes.
bit more tense,
A little
but
dicey. It's
yeah,
funny that you say that because when I mean, and I am very recreational. I'm not anywhere near your level, but when I'm tense and not playing well, I say to myself, just pretend you're on the playground.
yeah,
And it really helps.
it really does help if you get like I'm playing pickleball on a Tuesday. There's nothing to be upset about right now.
Mm. Yeah, it's so lovely. And you mentioned something, and people talk about it, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. There's this democratic piece to it, right?
Right.
Where it's not, I mean, I saw, not that I want them, but I saw paddles on sale at Aldi. I don't know if you have Aldi out west, but it's a grocery store. Now there would, nobody wants them, but it just shows you how the offering is to everyone. And as you said, you know, tennis is like, the history is a little tough, with the
Yeah.
whites and all that, and it's got still this exclusive air to it. And this is like you are playing with a wiffle ball. How serious can you be?
Right. We have this one guy. He I don't know where he goes in the winter, but he comes he comes out to our outdoor courts. He's a homeless guy, and he calls the balls in when they're in and out when they're out, and he's got a great serve. And so we're like, let's go, let's play. Here's an extra paddle. Here's you know
Mm,
we just include him in our group. It's we're not he doesn't want his life changed, and we're not trying to do that, but we're in that moment, all our lives are the same, right? So
yes,
that's the beautiful thing about pickleball.
it's a very level playing field. There's not that many places where that's true anymore.
Right, right.
Yeah.
We've we've chosen sides, right? We pick who
Mhm.
we want to hang out with, and but pickleball, no, whoever's up in the paddle rack, you play with.
Mhm. Yes. And, so that's something that's been profound for you. What do you think about going from recreational to tournaments? Does that feel, you said like a moment ago, well, that can be a little tense. Is that a different kind of enjoyment, or what's that like when now it's starting to count?
Well, yeah, it's a way to add stakes to this silly made up game, right? You're making it competitive. I mean, the medals aren't made of metal, so it's not worth it there. But you know,
They're not gold,
but
gold medals.
it's a way to kind of measure yourself. So somebody like me that's pretty competitive, I want to know where I stand in the pickleball world, and the way to do that is to go play competitive tournaments, and it's in some ways it's super fun, because I have a partner now, and she's my partner. We practice together and we get better together,
Mm,
and all of that
mhm.
feels good. Um, but the jitters, I get I like a burning building doesn't scare me, but I'm
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
matching squirts, I'm terrified.
That's gotta be a quote. Yeah, the matching sports are
Like,
those are
ah.
terrible. Oh my gosh, that is really hysterical. Now, I don't know if it's a good idea to take this where I'm gonna take it, but you don't even talk politics, you don't like, you're wonder like, "Oh, that person might be that," but it never comes up. H How is it to be, you see some of these folks a lot. You've traveled with them, you know their
Mhm.
stories, their family, you know a lot about them. How do you keep it in that plane of, here we are really just enjoying ourselves, and we're loving the same things without going there, because it's hard not to go there these days.
I totally get it. So I think, and I'm just giving you my gut response, is it's a factor of our age. We hang out with each other because we enjoy playing together and we enjoy each other's personalities, and particularly the people that we travel with. And we're all adults, and we have enough respect that nobody, like, we don't want to not have these friends over something that is completely beyond our control. Everyone's
Uh-huh.
bringing their own background and their own experiences to whomever they choose to vote for or whatever their belief system is. But that doesn't change the moments we're creating now as friends, and that's so precious. And
I was just thinking that word,
yeah,
precious. Yeah.
we
You're
all get it.
protecting something that's
Yeah,
precious. And
yeah.
it sounds like it's an unspoken rule.
Well, something will come up, yeah, as it does, and then the people who are the most vocal might, start in, and then we all just go, "Hey, let's," it's
Mhm.
not like we're avoiding it. But we
Okay.
all already know, so why have a fight?
Okay.
You
It's too
know,
important
it's too
in
important.
your lives.
Yeah,
It's too important. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a beautiful thing. How important is it to bring your spouse or other people in your life to meet these players who you know so well?
yeah, because because there are pickleball. So Bud makes appearances every now and then. Like,
He makes a cameo appearance. Does he bring the
well,
margaritas? You guys have some really lovely fixins there on the sidelines.
well, he generally won't go to something that's a pickleball event. But if I call him after pickleball is over, I say, "Hey, we're all at the local microbrewery eating chicken
Mhm.
sandwiches and having a beer. Do you want to stop in?" He'll stop. He'll say yes every now and then, and every now and then,
Mhm.
we trade. We'll do game night at each other's houses, and we'll host. And but we'll say hi to everyone, and then go read his book in another
Mm.
room. So he's kind of a mystery to the others.
I see, I see. Would you tell the story of I mean, you may know this 'cause you said you listen to some of the I am a big fan of dogs, and I know you are too. Would you mind telling our audience the story of that little dog? It was in Mexico, am I r
Oh,
and
yes.
following around, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, please nothing bad happened to this dog." Would you tell that
Oh,
story?
so I'm staying. Several people live part time where I live, and then they go down to. They're snowbirds, so they go down to Los Barrios, Mexico, and they live there in the winter here. And so they invited me down. This one couple, Brian and Brio and Oogie, um, and I stay in their casita. And so I went down there, and I was coming back from the pickleball courts, and I saw a family tying a puppy up to a fence next to it was in front of a dog sanctuary that was closed. And so, and there was like a scorpion on the ground, and they were leaving, and I couldn't convince them to bring the puppy back when the sanctuary was open. So I took the leash. And I walked, and I called the puppy Papita,
Mhm.
just to have something to call her. And I walked her back to Brio and Oogie's house, and I'm like, "Hey, look!
Mhm. Look what I found.
Look what I found, Mom and Dad."
I promise I'll feed her.
I did. I'm like, one night, and then I'll take her back to the sanctuary. But the sanctuary, when I took her back the next day, wasn't accepting any more dogs. They had over 100 dogs.
Mm,
They have a problem with spaying and neutering in that town. So there I was, and I won't go into the details of what happened, but it has a happy ending. How's that?
it does, although it was a little questionable there for a minute.
I left you hanging for a chapter.
You did, and yeah, it was a big relief that Pepito is, I'm sure thriving and doing very
Yes,
well. That's the hard
yes,
part about going to some developing countries.
he
Um,
is.
boy, so many strays.
They
Yeah.
call it. They I learned the phrase the Baja Trap So when you take the leash, you've then fallen into the trap, and now you're stuck with this puppy that you probably can't take home, but you got to find a situation where the puppy's going to be okay.
Yeah, okay. So for the 6 people who are listening who don't know anything about pickleball or have tried pickleball, what would you like to say to them?
Oh, try it. Just try it. And it's not for everyone, but you can say you tried it, and you'll know within a very short time whether or not you're going to be one of us, part of the cult, or a judger, a hater.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm sure you know more about this than I do, but there's a new pickleball that's been developed that doesn't make quite as bad of a sound.
Oh yeah, they're doing all kinds of sound technology
Mhm.
for the people that object to the sound. So
Mhm.
a lot of this stemmed from HOAs, and
Mhm.
the people who didn't want to play just couldn't stand the pop 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 pop.
Mhm.
So they've
Yeah.
created soft paddles. They've created balls that don't make as much sound. They're all going through testing. There's this whole. It used to be called. I'm sure you've heard of it, Nicole. The Bobby Riggs Tennis Center, named after
Mhm.
the pro tennis player, and now it's called the Bobby Riggs Pickleball and Tennis Center.
Uh-oh.
And there's no tennis courts, so
Oh,
there's
yeah.
just a tennis museum. And the community objected to the sound, and the city got involved. And the owner was really, really good. He's like, okay, let's see how to solve the problem so that everyone can be happy. And
Yeah.
he mandated soft paddles, and he has everything at the center, and they still get to play pickleball. They didn't get shut down.
It's interesting 'cause I play pickleball, but in my last days at doing tennis, people were playing pickleball next to us, and boy, is it rough. I mean, it just breaks your concentration, and if you're not playing and you're trying to play something else, it's rough.
It has none of the decorum or grace of
Yeah.
tennis. It has none of the rhythm. It is it's like jazz instead of traditional
Classical, yeah.
classical music,
Yeah.
right?
It's not graceful, it doesn't have that elegance.
Not
It's
at all.
more yeah,
No,
which is
it's yeah.
the fun and also, people are like, "Yuck."
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, it's really not for everyone,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but
So
those people are losing.
tell me when the book comes out. April
April 7th
7th?
is the release date.
Mm.
And so that's also my birthday by happenstance. So
Woo!
that's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool present.
Totally. And, are you doing a lot of stuff? Obviously, you're doing podcasts. What else do you do to bring this out into the world?
So the where the book is going to officially launch, this is pretty cool. My friends down in Los Barillas, they they're built a brand new pickleball center there called
Mhm.
Palmas Pickleball Resort and Academy. And they were working on it at the time when I was down there working on the book, and they invited me to come down, and we're going to do a whole launch down at in Los Barillas. So that's going to
Ooh.
be super fun. And then all the snowbirds, before they go home, I'll get to see them all again, and we'll all talk pickleball. And it's going to be at the pickleball courts, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is lovely.
Yeah.
Well, it was a great read, and, I so enjoyed it. There was depth to it. I mean, there was these different layers of the fun and, oh, pickleball, oh, that's, the matching skorts and all that stuff, but there's also this real tenderness that runs through it about your relationships and the importance for you of being in this community. There's just so much love, and it's such a gem. So I am I'm letting the audience know if you have any interest in pickleball at all, to pick it up. Where can people find out more about you, Claire?
So my website is clarefrank.net, and
Okay.
CLARE. There is no I in me.
Okay. And can they order from your website?
And I actually, everyone wants a .com, but I figured for the pickleball, a .net would be better. So,
Okay. Okay.
right. And then
Yes, for sure.
another thing I'm doing, I don't know if your listeners want or plugged into these, I'm doing this thing called Pickleball Hotline, where I'm doing these like 30-second reels about pickleball
Hmm.
complaints and then resolving them on a hotline. And it's all tongue in
Oh
cheek.
my God. Yes.
So they're fun to log into, and that's just Pickleball Hotline on Instagram. I'm trying to teach myself how to get them over to YouTube and TikTok. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a tech process, and
Oh gosh.
I was
Yeah.
born a Luddite, so
Yeah, yeah, you have to find a 16-year-old
yeah,
at the
I
club.
do.
Yeah, that's what you need. So, such a joy to speak with you. I really enjoyed it, and I know our audience will too. I've already shared it with some of my players, and so thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Oh, thanks, Nicole. It was so fun talking to you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends.
Our theme song is All I Did Was Wait for You by Kjartan Abel. Visit Kjartan-Abel, that's KJARTAN-Abel, ABEL.com to hear more of Kjartan's work. And our technical director is Stephen Litweiler.
And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest. See you then.